Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends of the Bruno Kreisky Forum. Welcome to this evening, Learning Under Fire, Education as a Battleground for Democracy. Let us warmly welcome our guests here at the panel. So we have two artists, Rana Albattrawi, welcome to Vienna, and Ismail Matar. With my humble Arabic, I say ahlan wa sahlan. So, then also warm welcome to Marc Lassouaoui. Thank you for being here from UNRWA. Thank you. Welcome. And thank you, Viola Raheb. She is with us as the curator and curator of the Bruno Kreisky Forum for International Dialogue. Thank you for being with us here. And Viola Raheb will introduce our guests in greater detail. Thank you for being with us. So only basically three sentences at the very beginning on education under fire. The right to education, as you very well know, is contemplated in Article 29 of the Convention on the Rights of the Child. However, this includes primary, secondary education as well as access to higher education. So it is, of course, not a coincidence that under certain circumstances, the right to education, the facilities, the structures, the teachers are prohibited, sometimes even killed, in order to prevent education, to prevent what is so necessary to make people in their individuality growing and blossoming, and also to make to give identity to a people. So this is one of the issues we have here this evening: education and learning under fire. Also, when we look to Palestine, and both artists are coming from Gaza, although they are due, of course, to the circumstances, not based at the moment there. What we see in the case of Palestine and Gaza, we also see, and UNRWA, and this is also the issue, one of the issues of today. So we see multilateralism and international organizations under fire. The idea that a rule-based international order and also the rule of law is actually breached and violated in so many aspects. We see that an organization that has been active and struggling under very, very difficult circumstances in order to provide education and educational structures in Palestine has been also under fire. Also especially, of course, by the State of Israel rejecting its mandate that UNRWA had for several decades there. Art and culture are part of social and political identity, and I guess when we talk about Austria and we understand ourselves as a cultural nation, then we for sure understand how important it is to support and to make sure that we understand how art and culture are crucial for nation building, for identity building. And again, it's no coincidence that artists and cultural structures and activities are indeed under fire. They are prohibited, they are criticized, and again, artists are given a very, very difficult time. I mean, not only in Palestine, also elsewhere, but now in particular over there. So what we do today here is that you have excellent artists and panelists, representatives of UNRWA also among us. I think we have 1-2 more experts having worked with UNRWA and still working for this organization. So what we really want to do is also to strengthen and to give a bit hope into a rather dark time. Let me, at the end of this small introduction, thank in particularly the Academy of Fine Arts in the scope of which these are the two artists have been working with students of the Academy of Fine Arts. Also, some of them are here. Thank you for your engagement and also the opportunity of this cooperation. And I wish you an interesting and inspiring evening. And yeah, thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Kreisky Forum. I'm happy that you made it tonight to be with us in this panel where we are focusing on Gaza from a different perspective than the perspective that has been publicly dominated in the last 2 years. We want to set the people at the center of this panel, and especially the issue of education and the right of education in Gaza. It was important for us to have both an institution, especially UNRWA, and it was on purpose that we chose UNRWA, being the largest institution that is serving almost half of the children who have the right to education in Gaza, in addition to other services that they are providing in Gaza, an organization that has been attacked severely in the last 2 years and before, and is continuing its presence and its mission in Gaza. So we're grateful to have Marc Lassouaoui, Deputy Director of UNRWA Europe, and we look forward to hear his talk. And we were very enthusiastic on bringing voices from Gaza on the panel, because we always believe it's essential to talk with the people rather than talking about them. And we thought of bringing 2 young artists from Gaza, Rana, who's now based in France, and who went out of Gaza during this war, and her husband actually only was able to make it out of Gaza a few months ago, and Ismail, who has been in Europe now, who's born in Gaza and has been in Europe now since 2022. 2 young artists trying to use the medium of art to voice the voice of the people of Gaza and the hope of resilience and of standing, though the fall are always more heavier than the ones that came before. Just to give you an idea of the program tonight, we will start with an introduction with Marc on setting the context on the right of education and the services that UNRWA is offering in Gaza in the field of education. And then we will move to Ismail, who will share his story as actually a student of an UNRWA school in one of the refugee camps in Gaza. And then we will go to Rana on Dar al-Kalima University's work in the area of art before and after the last war on Gaza, or the continuous war in Gaza, and how art changes and adapts to the context, trying to keep the hope alive. Marc, thank you for accepting our invitation, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, and again, a pleasure to be here. I feel that we are a smaller room, so perhaps I just not follow the script literally as I have it, but trying to have more of a discussion with you. And I know we have a moment where you can ask a question on UNRWA, what we do. So I think it'll make it a bit more fluid. But I wanted to introduce first UNRWA. Not sure if everyone is aware of us and what we do. We are a UN organization. We're a bit of a particular UN organization, as I keep on using a word that in the Middle East they like, which is cocktail. I would say if you take the rest of the UN organization together, you put it in a box and you shake it strongly, and then you throw it on the Palestinians, then you have UNRWA, because we do more or less most of the services that UN organizations provide, but to a specific group of people, the Palestinian refugees in Gaza. So we've been in existence for nearly 80 years now. And we do basically two things. First, provide government-like services, so services that you would have here in Vienna, in Austria, education and the health when you go to a clinic and so on. So that's what we do. And when there is a crisis, I mean, now we had the one in Syria, the war in Syria, but now in Gaza for the last 2 years. Then we add to the services. We have what we call humanitarian services, emergency services. That includes food aid, the cash assistance, psychological support to children. So in short, that's what we do. And we do that for, I say 6 million. 6 million people in the Middle East are entitled to our services. That doesn't mean that they do all come to us, but when they need, they have the right to come to UNRWA and send the kids to an UNRWA school or receive cash assistance if they are very, very poor, and so on and so forth. All right, so and where do we work? We work in Lebanon, in Syria, in Jordan, in Gaza, and the West Bank, and we include East Jerusalem. So if you look at education, education has been quite important for the Palestinians over the history, especially since the Nakba. 2.8 million people have gone out of UNRWA schools. It's actually massive when you see the scope and impact that they have. We've had high achievers. I was about to mention some, like Lassouaoui was helped fly an helicopter in Mars. We're very proud of him. He's based in the US. And we have you, Ismail, as well. So coming from our school, so I hope you'll tell us more about what your experience in schools in Gaza. So for the last few achievements, like we've achieved gender parities in the mid-60s, which was not a given in the Middle East, so we are also quite proud of that. We've been teaching for the last 20 years human rights, conflict resolution, and tolerance in all the schools across the region, okay, which was also one of the achievements. And another issue, especially linked to the theme of tonight, is the school parliament. What is interesting in UNRWA is that we've tried to bring a sense of democracy and democratic values throughout our schools. And we've got all those parliamentarians in our school. I don't know if you were parliamentarians, but it was interesting. So they really played the games. The kids, they go through elections. So each year, throughout the network of 700 schools throughout the Middle East, people, select their parliamentarians at the school level, at the area level, in the country level, and we have for the last, I think, 10 years, school parliamentarian that represents the overall school students of UNRWA, and I think that's very relevant to the subject tonight. Also, in terms of we're also quite known and famous for our work in education in emergency. That was highlighted by UNHCR, Save the Children, and UNESCO as one of the main success of education in the Middle East. Just perhaps, if I can say a few words on the West Bank, and then we'll dive into Gaza. I think that's more the issue tonight. But West Bank, including East Jerusalem, we have more or less 50,000 children still studying in UNRWA schools. I mean, it has not been easy in the West Bank. It's not easy because of the situation. You've all heard about settler violence, the military raids, the displacement, demolitions throughout the West Bank. In January, 10 UNRWA schools in North and West Bank were forced to close. that affected 6,000 children in the West Bank. A few months later, six schools in Jerusalem, in East Jerusalem, were closed by the police force, who came in full combat gear following the adoption of two anti-UNRWA Knesset legislation, one aiming a no-contact policy with UNRWA, and the other one at preventing UNRWA's work from what Israel considered its sovereign territory. And I put it in brackets because sovereign territory is, there's a perception of Israel and there's a perception of the international community. Basically, the 67 border, as we all know them, is not what Israel includes in its territory. Israel goes farther than that, including all of East Jerusalem. So those from those 6 schools that I mentioned, we had 800 of them that were left traumatized. Their classroom turned into scenes of fear, and their fundamental rights to education stripped away. So in Gaza, before the horrible events of October 2023, schools were far from the regular class. They were really places alive with dreams and hope. Spaces where children could imagine a brighter future despite the hardship surrounding them. But now we're going to look at the impact of the war. So before we dive into education in Gaza, I wanted to bring you to what are now schools, UNRWA schools in Gaza, which is quite reflective on all the schools in the Gaza Strip. So if we can just show the first movie. I'll talk on it, but I think it's important for you to see what we as UNRWA have to deal with. So that's actually a typical school of UNRWA. That's what schools have been turned into, basically a place where people have had to find refuge because of the war. And you've got here, in that school, thousands at the school in north of Gaza, in Gaza Governorate. So we have approximately 2,000 people in that school. Not much hygiene, barely enough bathroom to accommodate the needs of all those people. And now that's a challenge, bringing education when those schools are what you see, where families try to leave. That's one of the challenge. And so many questions on the UNRWA side. I mean, how to resume education when schools are in that condition? So, Gaza children, they've not only faced destruction of their school buildings, and that's again a school that is in a decent condition compared to many, but their whole access to education, and in fact their rights to education that are enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. For more than 2 years, 660 students in Gaza, including 300 more or less, who attended UNRWA schools, have been learning nothing more than how to survive. Too many kids have seen their homes destroyed, their schools bombed, their friends killed, and their peers scattered by endless displacement. 300 of UNRWA workers have been killed during the war, most of them teachers and education personnel. So while UNRWA turned its school into shelters, as you can see here, for displaced family, the bombardment did not spare its installations or the life of over 800 people who were killed while sheltering under the UN flag. So 800 people who came to UNRWA because they thought that they would be safe. Again, UNRWA being a UN school, UN installation with UN clearly marked building, then they lost their lives. More than 70% of UNRWA schools have been directly hit by military operations. Almost every school building in Gaza, and not only UNRWA's, have been severely damaged or destroyed beyond rehabilitation. So children literally have no place to learn. Restrictions by the Israeli authorities on the entry of what they considered dual-use goods into Gaza have obstructed the delivery of essential supplies, such as stationery, textbooks, and school bags. That's the reality today. We cannot bring school material into Gaza. The barriers have made it nearly impossible for teachers to continue lessons or for children to hold on a sense of normal lives through education. The trauma is profound. UNICEF has just said that 1.1 million children in Gaza now need mental health and psychological support. And again, that's one of the major issues that we are facing in Gaza. It's not only about destruction, but how do we build the minds of the children in Gaza that have gone through so much over the past 2 years. And now we had the famine recently being declared in Gaza, which brings also additional challenges to us restarting education, because children that are not fed properly, they cannot learn properly either. And the longer, of course, children stay out of school, then the higher the risk for them to become lost generation. So behind statistics are the voice and dreams of children and teachers. So I just perhaps quote a young girl from Gaza who said that before the war, we dreamed of becoming doctors, teachers, and engineers. Now, our only dream is to live for tomorrow. We don't know if the future will even exist for us. And every day we feel as if life is slipping away from us little by little. That's what a little girl is saying now in Gaza. I want now to show a second movie where I'll put the sound and be a bit more lively.
Changes in a couple of days.
Another school gone.
كنا قبل الحرب نروح على صفوف محروقات وزي هالقصة كلهم. وكان عندي كم صحبات كده بس نسيت شو اسمها. هالقد صارت المدرسة محروقة يعني. كنا ننام فيها ونعيش فيها. صاروا ينتبوا فيها خيام. كنت أحب المدرسة كتير، أروح على المدرسة نقرأ ونلعب مع صحباتي بالساحة ونكتب. كل يوم كنا نروح على المدرسة يوميا من غير شو إلا يوم الجمعة.
بالرغم من كل ما حصل لدى طلابنا لا زال وكما نشاهد الأمل والرغبة في العودة إلى الحياة الطبيعية.
أكبر بنصير دكتورة نقرأ قبل ما نكبر ونكبر ونصير دكتورة.
major change now is that finally we have hope. We have hope to allow that little girl to become a doctor. So that's what we hope for. So what we do as UNRWA, I mean, we step up our Back to Learning program, and how we do it. We have, of course, not schools where we can, not full schools at least, where we can bring the children, but at least what we call temporary learning spaces. And those spaces are rooms. Have you seen some of the schools now that we clear up? We basically ask people to get out of those areas where they sleep. We clean up, we bring desks if we have them. If not, the children just sit on the floor. And then we bring a teacher. And then we create a class. And we teach children. It's incredible, the eagerness of the children in Gaza to come back. We've got between 1,000 and 2,000 children every single day. Additional children who come because they want to be in school. They want to connect with their peers. They want to listen to the teachers and learn. We also run online classes, and we aim at reaching 300,000 children. But as you can imagine now in Gaza, where we barely have electricity, Wi-Fi, not enough devices as well, that is actually challenging. That's why we try to increase the number of temporary learning spaces. So looking ahead, in terms of what we need, of course we need the support of the international community to help rebuild education in Gaza. It's urgent. We need to move towards restoring formal education where conditions allow, and ensuring sustainable funding for teachers' recruitment. So we need to make education a priority in post-war Gaza. Create an enabling environment, making sure that children have safe and supportive spaces where they can learn, grow, and thrive. We need to address malnutrition as well, and ensure access to adequate healthcare, mental health in particular, one of the big challenges, and psychosocial support for all students and the staff. We also need to expand flexible, non-formal education programs to reach children wherever they are, and scale up temporary learning spaces, I mentioned, and rehabilitating schools. We need also to ensure that essential supplies previously denied or restricted include education material. We need to restart school parliaments as well, that lay the groundwork for a democratic society, as we're discussing tonight. And we need to support the teachers with professional development and resources to manage trauma that they will have to face a lot, and support students with disabilities, the number of which has grown immensely. So we are at a crossroad. Also on the political side, the ceasefire now is hope that we see in Gaza, and hope for the people in Gaza that have lost people and children that have lost 2 years of education. The ICJ, the International Court of Justice, has ruled that Israel, the occupying power, is under an obligation to facilitate UNRWA's work, including education, in Gaza, the West Bank, and in East Jerusalem. Most UN member states, 142 in total, including Austria, have adopted the New York Declaration on a two-state solution. And in July, the Human Rights Council has again, by consensus, reaffirmed the right to education as enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And Arab countries have adopted in March a plan for early recovery, reconstruction and development. And there will be a conference now coming up in Cairo in the next few days. Education is not a privilege for peace alone. It's a fundamental right enshrined in the Convention of the Right of the Child. It's a beacon of hope for every child, even in the darkest of time. And it's an antidote for despair, trauma, and radicalization. UNRWA, with its partners, has planned an ample capacity to support a phased return to formal education in Gaza, contributing to stability in the region and the future for peace. So across the Strip, children still dream about returning to their studies, their books, their friends, and their pencil cases. I was discussing with the person that you've seen in the video, Farid, with the head of education in Gaza. And he mentioned an example that struck me. He was saying that he's had the case of a child, of a little girl as well, who was not been speaking for at least a year. They brought her back to those temporary learning space. And then suddenly she saw a friend and she began speaking again. So it goes quite far in terms of what education can achieve for the mental health of the people. So I would say just let's bring back their desks in school. Let's leave bombardments behind and bring the sound of school bells back. And let's just help children be children. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marc, for setting the context on the life of children in Gaza, especially in the field of education. And I think the work of UNRWA is indispensable, not only in Gaza, and the international responsibility of actually backing UNRWA and making its work possible applies to all, especially not at least after the last ICJ ruling on the 25th of October of this year in Amman, with when the UNRWA released also that ruling and what it meant. But maybe we will talk about it later. I can sense the tension in the room, or the how heavy it is, and I would like to ask you to bear with us. I think it's the most heavy for our two guests from Gaza. I could see the eyes of Ismail and Rana during the films which were shown, knowing not only that they are from Gaza, but their families are still in Gaza. And I just can say how grateful we are that you are here to talk to us and to share with us, which is not easy, to share a story of pain, trying to give a voice of hope. And maybe it was always the corresponding image for me when looking at the eyes of Ismail, almost in tears, remembering his calligraphy work, "We love life." And I think Ismail's journey is one that testifies for that sentence, "We love life." So I would like to ask Ismail to share with us his story. Thank you, Ismail, for talking to us.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you for inviting me to be here. It's really a pleasure to be here in front of you and sharing part of my story, telling about myself and about my people in Gaza. My name is Ismail Matar. I like the people calling me Matar. Matar means rain in Arabic. And rain is the hope, and the hope is the thing that we are living for, or I'm living for. I was born and raised in Khan Yunis refugees camp in the south of Gaza. Khan Yunis refugees camp is one of the biggest camps, I think, in Gaza. And there I started my life with my family. 26 years ago, I started living in the street of the camp with my friends, with my family. And from there, I started to create the memories. I had the talent since I was young, being talent of art, painting, drawing, everywhere. And it was the thing that I was escaping to, because in the camp, like there we were living under the UNRWA protection, and also there we have some challenges as a refugees. We were always holding our hope to be back one day to our original land. At the same time, we want to continue in this life, and we want to build a new life and to have our dreams. So the art was my place to escape of what's happening in Gaza. We were suffering and facing a lot of obstacles there. In the same time, we have dreams and hope we want to catch. So I found myself doing art and seeing myself as an artist in the future who want to make change for himself through the art. And I went to UNRWA school since I was young. I started studying in UNRWA schools. And in 2014, we had like a war in Gaza, one of the attacks that we had in Gaza. And in that moment, it was 51 days. And it was long for me staying home, being home for a long time. And as I told you, the art was the place where I escaped to. So in that moment, I start to focus more on my talent. I want to do something. I want to express my feeling as a kid. So most of my day, I was just doing some sketches and lines and drawing some pictures of the kids of Gaza. And when the war finished, after 51 days, directly I start to to find walls around me in the refugees camps, just to paint and to send some messages. Even if I was a kid, but I was always trying to tell about the hope and the dream that we have in Gaza, and especially in the camps. And the walls of the camp was like where my panel, where I want to send my message, because the walls itself is an artwork, because you will find a lot of gaps and hard texture. It was helping me, to be honest, to paint and to send a message. And when I was 16, I started dreaming and going far with my imagination. And in that time, I was walking always when I want to dream and to think about my dreaming and imagining it. I was walking. So, and also I was always walking around my home, the area where I was raised and born. And by accident, I met this wall of UNRWA school. And then I found my name there, made by Ismail Matar. And I said, what? This is me, this is my name. You can find it there, it's a big sign. And then I start just to recognize my memories. And then I remembered my touches here. And I said, yes, it's me. This is my touches. I remember how I was doing that, drawing the trees and this guitar. It's you can watch or you can see here. There's a guitar and a tree and some green supposedly on the ground. But for me, it's memories. When I was young, when I was 8 years ago, I was
Old.
8 years old. In that moment, I was going to summer games. Summer games is something we were joining during the vacation that we have in the summer. Between it's like 3 months of vacation. And in that time, my mother was a trainer for UNRWA, and she was responsible about art training in this in the summer game. And I was joining her this period, and I remember in that time I asked her, is it possible to do something in the wall? Because I was always hoping that I want to do something big on the wall. It's a direct message that I can tell through my art. And then she said, why not? And then like she brought the material and we were a group of people, each one chose a wall, and I chose this one and I painted this one. And I was so happy that after 10 years, it's still there. I was really happy. I took this picture with my phone in that moment. No, it was not my phone. I went to tell my father that I found this wall, and please just can you give me your phone? In the second day, I want to just take a picture of this wall, and he accepted, of course. So this wall inspired me to continue doing this and painting the walls in the refugees camp. And then I started a project, a selfie project, sending messages from the refugees camps, telling about the people and about the kids of the camp. I started this in Khan Yunis, and then I moved to other camps in the middle and in the south and north of Gaza, hoping to spread my art around Gaza and around the world later. And in 2016, after I finished my high school, I got a scholarship from Dar al-Kalima University, and that moment was like one of my very nice moment when I got this news that I have a scholarship to study art, because art is my dream is to become an artist and like continue on my future as an artist, telling my story through my art. And I was so happy, but then I start a new struggle by trying to go to the West Bank, because in Palestine we have a West Bank and Gaza, and there's a wall in Gaza. It's like under siege, and it's impossible to go there without permission. And the permission, of course, it's not easy to get it. I tried for a year to get this scholarship and to go to the West Bank to study art, to start the first dream in my life. But after a year of trying and trying, it was impossible. I couldn't get this, and to be honest, I gave up and I was disappointed. And then I went to study information and communication technology. It's something interesting, but for me, I want to be an artist. I want to continue as an artist. It's my life. It's the thing that helped me to continue and to like, I see myself making a change through the art, because I believe in myself and I believe in my message and in my talent, let's say. But yeah, I continue like doing art by myself. And in 2019, it was the first time Dar al-Kalima came to Gaza, and they met some artists in Gaza, and they told us that we want to start something here as a University of Art. And then they started like a training center in Gaza as a beginning of having a university in the future. And I was so happy, because it was my dream to join this university. It's a big university in Palestine, teaching art and culture in the culture field. So I was so happy when I met Dr. Mitri, and I joined this program, and I start having some courses through this university. And then we start to do some activities with the kids of Gaza, especially after the war on 2021, because you know the art is important to, and it's helping to for the kids to go out of the trauma that they have from the wars. In 2022, I left Gaza after a lot of trying to leave, not just to leave, also to get some opportunities, but I failed many times. But in 2022, I got an opportunity by Royal Dramatic Theatre in Sweden to participate with my art. And I could leave Gaza in that moment after 24 years of trying and dreaming and hoping to have my freedom as a person, as a human. And I could do that. I left Gaza, and the moment that I left Gaza, I was really sad that I will leave a big memories in Gaza. I will leave my family, my father and my mother, and especially my little brother. He was like my kid. He was always accompanying me when I was going to paint on the walls. And I was so sad that I will leave him. He will stay alone now. And knowing that it's not going to be easy to go back. When you leave this prison, then you are free. It's not going to be easy to go back to this life. But also I remember the responsibility that I have from my family and myself to make a change. I went to Sweden, I stayed a year there, and then I decided to move out to Brussels because my life in Sweden wasn't easy, but still have hope always. And I started a new life in Brussels, and now I have done many nice projects there and 2 solo exhibitions. I always try to make some or what I like to do is doing murals and big graffiti, because it's, I feel it's a direct message that I can send to the people. The people enjoy watching the walls, and for me, I believe the art is a strong message that I can send and tell my story through it. So this is what I like to do and what I was doing in Gaza, and I still want to do and continue spreading my art everywhere. In Gaza, I was enjoying doing that, but out of Gaza, it became a big responsibility to continue doing that. I don't want to take much time, but I will just end with this painting, We Love Life. This painting, I have done it after there was a temporary ceasefire on Gaza last year. And in that moment, I was calling my mother. I was so happy, and I told her, please, because I heard some sounds on the street, I told her, please, can you film me some, how the people reactions are in this moment, because I heard that people were so happy in that moment, finally their ceasefire. And yeah, she opened the camera and she started to film the people, and I found some kids, they were dancing in the street, and that inspired me to make my letters are dancing also. Here you can see the movement and the motion of the letters are dancing. I choose 2 colors, the blue and the sun, the orange. The orange is the sun color and the blue is the sea color, Sea of Gaza. I always have a hope to continue and to have the freedom. And we are human in Gaza, and we deserve to have freedom and to have just a normal life as anyone in this world. We love life and we want to live, and I think it's the least that we can have is just the freedom and the peace. So thank you for listening, and thank you again for letting me tell this story. I'm so happy to be here, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ismail, for sharing part of your personal story. It wasn't easy to convince Ismail not to show much of his paintings, but only this one. But you can find him on social media and on Instagram. He has done really great work. And Ismail and Rana are doing workshops with the students of the Academy of Fine Arts, with which we have this cooperation of the invitation to the 2 artists. Some of the students who have been working today with both are in the room, welcome. And they are working with them on artwork, and we will have the exhibition on the 12th of this month, so next week. There will be an exhibition with the work of both of them, but also with the work they produced with the students of the Fine Art Academy in Vienna. So maybe some of you would like to join us for the opening of the exhibition. So we move from Ismail to Rana, and Rana will be talking in Arabic, and I will be shifting from a moderator to a translator. And the work that is next to her is Rana's work with the clay. You can come and see it later. She will. It was not easy to find a place to put it so that you can see it. I apologize, but maybe we can hold it for a moment, Rana, so that they can. Don't move it. No, okay. Sorry. We used some scotch tape to fix it, so we're not moving it. Rana Albattrawi is from Gaza, and she will share with us who she is and how she came to be in Gaza, but she will focus actually on the work of Dar al-Kalima Academy in Gaza, in the area of art, also which Ismail talked about. And as I was saying, Rana was until 24 in Gaza, and her husband left only in May of this year, and one was one of the people malnutritioned, where she could not recognize him when he arrived in Paris. But we will hear more from Rana, and we're really grateful for you, Rana, to be here. The floor is yours.
شكرا، ميرسي. أهلا وسهلا بالجميع، وراح أتكلم اليوم بالعربي. أنا رنا بطراوي، لاجئة من مدينة سدود. كنت في طفولتي عايشة في السعودية، في المملكة العربية السعودية، وقررت أتعلم فن بعد انتهاء دراستي. قررت أرجع على فلسطين وأدرس فن وأعلم وأتعلم.
So my name is Rana Albattrawi. I'm a Palestinian refugee. The family originated from Ashdod. I was born and raised in Saudi Arabia. And when I finished school, I decided to study art, and I wanted to study art in Gaza. So I went to Gaza.
راح أتكلم
studied art and taught art.
راح أتكلم اليوم عن تجربتي في الفن وتعزيز الصمود لإلي ولأصدقاء والأهل في غزة، وعلاقتي اللي بلشت من غزة حتى اليوم. هذه صورة أنا صورتها. غزة علمتني كتير أشياء، وفهمت كمان علاقتي بالمكان والهوية، وبلشت حياتي ومساري الفن في غزة.
So I would like to address the issue of art as a medium of steadfastness. That was my path that I myself went through, but also my friends and colleagues. This picture I took of the Sea of Gaza. Gaza had taught me a lot, especially my relation to my identity, but also the relation to the context and to the place.
تعلمت فن في جامعة الأقصى، وتخصصت في مجال النحت، وصرت أدرس كمان في جامعة، وصرت كمان عندي مجموعة من الأصدقاء والعائلة الكبيرة في غزة. كونت مجتمع كبير، وانتقلت كمان عمل أرجع.
So I studied art at the Al-Aqsa University in Gaza. I developed a community interested in art and working in art, and I was doing sculptures, or I still do sculptures. as a medium of art or as artwork. And I taught at the beginning also at the same university.
ما كان سهل كامرأة وأكون عايشة لحالي وأهلي بعاد عني إني أدرس فن في غزة، لكن شعرت بمسؤولية تجاه إنه في صبايا كتير وفتيات ونساء محتاجين إنه أساعدهم وأعلمهم فن. وصرت أدرس كمان بلشت علاقتي مع جامعة دار الكلمة في مركز غزة للتدريب وكنت أدرس فن. صحيح.
It wasn't easy for me because she went alone back to Gaza. It wasn't easy for me as a woman, as a single woman without a family, to establish a new life in Gaza and to work as an artist. But I saw it as the responsibility towards the younger generation of women and girls to guide them, to be a role model, to help them. And so my relationship to Dar al-Kalima University started.
خلال عملي في جامعة دار الكلمة مع مدة الوقت في قبل الحرب تقريبا ب3 شهور استلمت منصب إدارة المركز.
So I started working with Dar al-Kalima University, and 3 months before the war started, I became to be the director of the Gaza liaison.
جامعة دار الكلمة هي مساحة خاصة للفنانين وللطلاب ولتعليم الفن وكل احتياجات الفن لاكتساب مهارات في ورشات عمل طويلة الأمد وقصيرة الأمد، وكان في عنا نادي أطفال وأمسيات بشكل دوري.
So Dar al-Kalima University offered a space for art on various levels for the people in Gaza. So through long-term educational formation, through short-term courses, but also spaces for children art clubs and for places where people can experiment with art.
وشاءت الظروف أنه خلال 3 شهور من بعد استلامي العمل تبدأ الحرب.
So 3 months after I took on being the director, the war started.
وهذه صورة من منزلي وشباك مرسمي وكان من أول يوم السماء دائما لونها رمادي.
So this picture was taken, the one with the window is the window of my atelier, my working place at home, and the picture to the left was taken from that window on the first day of the war. And from that day on, actually, the sky was always gray.
تم تدمير مقر مركز جامعة دار الكلمة في الاجتياح الأخير على مستشفى الشفا.
So the University of Dar al-Kalima in Gaza left as it was, and to the right, after being bombed on one of the attacks on the Shifa hospital in Gaza.
وهي كانت مساحة خاصة للفن وحواليها كلها جاليريات خاصة كمان للفن كلها تم تدميرها.
So the university and all the art galleries or spaces around it that included it was destroyed fully.
وهذه صورة لمنزلي قبل وبعد ساكنة أنا في تل الهوى.
This is my home before and after it was hit in Tell al-Hawa in Gaza.
عشت أيام كتير صعبة ونزوح متكرر من منطقة لمنطقة ل7 أماكن وأنا أنزح في منطقة الجنوب.
I went through very many hardships, being internally displaced and having to change the location of displacement for 7 times.
عشنا أسوأ الظروف أنا وعائلتي وأصدقائي والأهالي في غزة وبعرف شعور الأم والطفل شو عانوا من تحديات.
We went through much of pain and of suffering, and I know of the others who also went with the same, knowing the challenges that we were facing, people are facing, especially women and children.
استطعت إني أخرج أنا وأولادي في البداية على مصر، بعدين أجتني منحة على فرنسا.
I was able to get out of Gaza with my 2 children, first to Egypt in January of 2024, and then with the help of a scholarship to France.
من أول أسبوع طلعت من غزة وأنا ما قدرت إني أكمل حياتي طبيعية، وعلى طول تواصلت مع دكتور متري رئيس جامعة دار الكلمة.
So after leaving Gaza, almost from the first day, I was not able to lead a normal life, and I immediately called the president of Dar al-Kalima University.
وقلت له أنا علشان أقدر أعيش وأكمل حياتي لازم أساعد نفسي وأساعد الأمهات والأطفال في غزة.
And I told him in order for me to live, but also to be able to live, to help myself heal, but also to help people in Gaza, I need to work on art.
طبعا هو حكى لي ارتاحي وريلاكس وخدي وقتك، قلت له أبدا ما بقدر.
So he said, please take some time, rest, take care of yourself, rebuild yourself, and then we will continue. And she said, I cannot, I will not be able to make it.
ناقشنا استراتيجية خاصة لوضع اللي صارت عليه غزة ومع التدمير الكامل للمقرات والمدارس اللي بنقدر كنا نشتغل فيها.
So we had a discussion trying to develop a strategy knowing that all the infrastructure was destroyed, how to restart the work.
ونظمنا برنامج تفريغ من خلال الفن للصدمات والأزمات اللي بمروا فيها الأطفال والأمهات والأهالي.
And we developed one program on psychosocial support for children and families through art.
وكونا عندنا فريق مدرب كان من السابق وهو عبارة عن 36 فولنتيرز موجودين بغزة موزعين في غزة في القطاع.
And we trained 36 people in art therapy.
واستطعنا وصول ل 18900 طفل استفادوا من خلال تعزيز بالتفريغ النفسي.
And we were able to reach 18,900 child in the time between February 24 and April 25.
وصلنا لكتير مناطق ولكتير مراكز إيواء ومدارس وكنائس ومراكز نفسية صحية وتعليمية.
So we went with the program into the various locations that were still functioning, being it centers where refugees or internal displaced were living, school buildings which were still there, hospitals, churches, mosques, wherever there was a place we could develop something.
وأنا كأم كنت دائما أشوف صور الأطفال وصور الأمهات والأنشطة اللي بتتنفذ في غزة وأشعر بالسعادة وأتشافى داخليا.
Seeing the picture or the outcome of the workshops that were done, the faces of the children but also of the women gave me hope and strength to recover having survived.
وكانت في مبادرات كتير كمان غير الأنشطة الفنية، كانت في مبادرات لأرشفة القصص لتنظيم مهارات تكتسبها تقوم فيها النساء لكسب لدخول سوق العمل وإنتاج فني بدالي للدمار.
There were other activities that were also offered in various locations within Gaza. One was documenting the stories of the people displaced and developing artwork.
زي مبادرة سينما المخيم.
We also developed activities like cinema in refugee camps.
وكمان مسرح الدمى، صناعة الدمى من إعادة تدوير من المخلفات والمنازل والأثاث.
puppet show using the trash to build the puppets and to help the young in the displacement.
وأنشطة كانت لها علاقة بقدر هين أحكي ستوري كقصص نجاح وتشافي.
And we developed different elements. I would like to share a story of recovery using this picture.
اسمحوا لي أحكي قصتين سريعاً.
Allow me to share two stories.
أوكي. القصة الأولى إنه في هذا النشاط لما الأطفال رسموا نفسهم وشعروا إنهم موجودين وتعلموا تقنيات جديدة بالشعور بذاتهم ونفسهم. وبنفس الوقت رجعوا يتواصلوا مع بعض. في جزء منهم كان مش قادر يرجع يتواصل، رجعوا يتواصلوا سوا. وأيضا طفل تاني إيده ما كان قادر يحركها، خلال النشاط قدر يرجع تاني يحركها.
So working with these young children to draw themselves, I'm not sure if you can see it, to draw their own face, to recognize that they do exist, and to sich wieder schätzen lernen, to reappreciate themselves, help them in the recovery. It helped them meet other peer group members. Some were able to talk after having lost the ability to talk, and one child was able to move a hand which he had no longer being able to use.
وفي ملاحظة شخصية مني أنا خلال كنت موجودة بفرنسا وبتابع العمل معهم ودقيقة بدقيقة بتواصل معهم. لما كانت توصلني زي صور الأطفال، فهذه الصورة جدا جدا تأثرت فيها، لأنه لما اطلعت على الأطفال إيش لابسين البنات وكيف عاملين شعرهم، أنا بعرف كتير قديش صعب وصول المياه ونتحمم ويكون في وقت لأنهم يتزينوا ويحطوا طوق على شعرهم. فأنا جدا تأثرت، وكأنه هذه المساحة الخاصة فيهم هي عبارة عن مساحة فرح، مساحة سبيشال بيحتفلوا فيها، وهم من خلال الفن قديش هو كان ضروري موجود رغم القصف المستمر في وقتها.
So when I received this picture and I was following all of the activities from Paris that were taking place in Gaza, this picture is very dear to my heart. Also because when looking at these girls, seeing how they were dressed, how they are dressed, how their hair is done, how they have, necklaces and that one on their hair, knowing that in Gaza there is no water to bath, there is no water to clean your clothes, that offering this space for these young people through art as a medium to recover, gave them a space to reconnect with themselves, with the others, and with life.
كمان طلاب الفنون طلاب الفنون كانوا دائما على تواصل مع جامعة دار الكلمة انهم بدهم يتعلموا اونلاين، وتم عمل برنامج لهم متخصص حتى كانوا يروحوا بصعوبة على الانترنت حتى يحضروا دروس ومحاضرات اونلاين مع جامعة دار الكلمة. بعدين الكتاب.
And I just would like to say that the students of art at the university were always asking to continue their studies, and so the university offered online courses for them, though it was very difficult to get electricity or to get the internet, but they were always fighting to continue their education, even among the displacement. So we will finish now.
وختاما بحب بس اخذ من وقتكم عن مبادرة هذا الكتاب اللي هي كمان عبارة عن مبادرة خاصة للفنانات النساء اللي عايشين بغزة، منهم صديقاتي أعزاء علي، وفي منهم فقدناهم أيضا بالحرب. هذا الكتاب عبارة عن قصص كتبوها من قلبهم، وهو كانت فكرة بالبداية أنه كانت ممكن يعمل معرض، لكن أنا اقترحت وشاركت بنقاش أنه نعمل كتاب حتى يكون هذا جزء من دعم للفنانات من خلال أي حدا بيقدر يقتني هذا الكتاب، وكمان صور للوحاتهم اللي هي خلال قبل الحرب، وكيف بعدين صاروا رسموا حتى بعدم وجود أدوات الفن، رجعوا ضلوا يستمروا بالرسم، وقديش كانت هذه المبادرة دعم وقوة لهم.
I would like to end with presenting the book which we just published. Rana is one of the editors who complied this book. Lilies of Gaza, Women Artists in Times of War, with what just came out, portraying 20 Gazan artists, women artists, some of which have been killed during this recent war. But there are personal stories of these women artists about their life in displacement and during war, and always one work of art before and one work of art after. And the idea was at the beginning to do an exhibition in the West Bank, but it's not possible to send it. So it was done as a book, and it just arrived actually. It was published this week, and it arrived yesterday to Vienna. This book you can buy outside for 25 euros, and the money for this book goes directly to the 20 artists, those who are killed to their families, but those who are alive will go to them. So this was one of the works, trying to also document the art that is also being diminished in times of war.
وبحب أشكر الجميع وبقول إنه إحنا اللي نجوت من الحرب دائما عنا أمل وحابين نتعلم ونستمر.
I want to thank you all, and I want to say, as a survivor of war, we who survived, we will always keep the hope. We love life, and we will continue the path.
Good evening, ladies